Good morning, students. I welcome you in our political science class. Here we will discuss today chapter 2 of book 1, that is Rights in the Indian Constitution. A constitution is not only about the composition of the various organs of the government and the relations among them, as we have studied in the last chapter. The constitution is a document that sets limit on the power of the government. It sets limit on the powers of government and ensures a democratic system in which all persons enjoy certain rights. In this chapter, we will study the fundamental rights contained in the Indian Constitution and also some limits on these rights. So today we are going to study what are the various fundamental rights listed in the Constitution of India. Next, how these rights are protected. Then, what role the judiciary has played in protecting and interpreting these rights, and what is the difference between the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy. So shall we start? First of all, we have to see what is the importance of rights in our life. Why rights are so important? And you can understand very well by the example which I am going to refer. In 1982, during the construction work for Asian Games, the government engaged a few contractors. These contractors employed a large number of very poor construction workers from different parts of the country to build the flyovers and stadiums for the Asian Games. These workers were kept in poor working condition and were paid less than the minimum wages decided by the government. A team of social scientists who surveyed the situation of the poor condition of the workers and petitioned the Supreme Court. They argued that employing a person to work for less than the minimum prescribed wages amount to begar or forced labor. If a person is engaged in a work and he is not getting full wages according to Minimum Wages Act, that means he or she is acting like a forced labor, and which is a violation of fundamental rights against exploitation. The court accepted this plea and directed the government to ensure that thousands of workers get the prescribed wages for their work. In this story, we have seen that contractors were violating the rights of that workers and they are denying to give their wages, right amount of wages, and so Supreme Court ordered and taken action. Now the second example, a person named Michael Lalung, when he was at the age of 23, he was arrested. He was the resident of a remote village of Assam. Mekal was charged for causing grievous injury. That means he was accused of causing grievous injury. But when the trial began, he was found mentally too unstable to stand trial and was sent as under trial and sent to hospital for treatment. Mekal was treated successfully and doctors wrote twice to jail authorities in 1967 and in 1996. Means Mekal was now become healthy and the jail authorities were informed about his successful treatment, and now he was fit to stand for trial, but no one paid any attention. Mekal remained in judicial custody. In July 2005, when he was 77 years old, then he spent 54 years under custody, during which his case never came up for hearing. Means his case was never taken up to the court and he was remained in custody after becoming fit for trial. He was freed when a team appointed by the National Human Rights Commission intervened after an inspection of under trials in the state. Some members of Human Rights Commission inspected all the jails that who were in the jails who were untrialed, who were remained untrialed in the jail. Mekal's entire life was wasted because a proper trial against him never took place. Our constitution gives every citizen the right to life and liberty. This means that every citizen must have the right to fair and speedy trial. In Mekal's case, what happened? What happens when rights granted by the Constitution are not available in practice? In the case of first instance, there was violation of rights provided in the Constitution and it was challenged in the court. As a result, workers could get what was due to them in the form of their rightful wages. So we have seen the constitutional guarantee of right against exploitation ensure justice to these workers. Now, both these examples show the importance of having rights and of the actual implementation of these rights. Now we can understand what are the importance of right. A democracy must ensure that individuals have certain rights and that the government will always recognize these rights. So, it is often a practice in most democratic countries to list the rights of the citizen in the constitution itself. So, what is Bill of Rights? Such a list of rights mentioned and protected by the constitution is called Bill of Rights. So, when the question arises, what do you mean by Bill of Rights? You can answer, there is some right mentioned in the constitution which protect the life of its citizen is called Bill of Rights. A Bill of Rights prohibits government from acting against the right of individuals and ensure a remedy in case there is violation of these rights. So, in this lecture we have seen the why rights are so important in our life and what is the need of these rights. In our next class, we will study about some fundamental rights given in Indian Constitution. Thank you.